One of the things that a lot of Harry Potter fans have been asking for is a Harry Potter television series on HBO Max, but they don't have to wait for that anymore because they've got Wednesday over on Netflix. And yes, that's a good thing. Let's talk about it here today on Patio Commentary. Hi, my name is Matt Jarbo. Welcome back to another episode of Patio Commentary. And I spent the weekend watching Wednesday on Netflix. This is one that I'd wanted to see, but I was a little bit apprehensive about. I had a little trepidation going into seeing this, simply because, for one, I grew up watching the Barry Sonnenfeld original films, as well as the original series. I enjoy Addams Family. I even like the recent Addams Family animated movies put out by MGM. So this to me was something that was definitely interesting, that they were approaching a Wednesday-centric show, when really the allure, the draw of the entire concept of the Addams Family is everybody from Morticia to Gomez to Fester to Pugsley to Thing to Lurch to even Cousin It, who I do hope will make an appearance at one point in time or another, because this show is remarkably good. It is remarkably good, even though it falls into some traps later on in the season. The show is only 8 episodes long, and it covers Wednesday Addams having to go to Nevermore Academy, where is the alma mater of her parents, Morticia and Gomez, and she is going to be in the shadow of her mother, who went there and dominated everything, like president of clubs, won at fencing, all sorts of these things Morticia was great at. And Wednesday feels like she has to live in the shadow of her mother, and that's something she doesn't want to do because she's very much a loner who seems to give zero Fs about everybody, when in fact, throughout the course of the season, you come to realize that she may appear to be emotionless. She may appear to be all of these things, heartless, callous, careless, when in reality, she's got more emotion than almost any other protagonist I have seen in a show in a long time. That's actually one of my favorite things about the Addams Family as a whole, is that while it appears that they are just vile, disgusting, morbid, creatures, they have such a deep and insane love for one another that it doesn't matter how morbid they get or how into the macabre they are. They come together and they accept each other for who they are, and it's nice, man. It's really, I like it. It's nice. I got 2 kids. I got a 4-year-old, almost 5, and a 3-year-old, and you love your kids, and it's just I just thought it was good. I just always enjoyed the way the family came together. So this series, again, stars Jenna Ortega as Wednesday Addams, a role made famous by Christina Ricci, who is in the show. And I thought that was really cool that they brought her back. In fact, I was really curious to see how the show was going to, if anything, honor the original films, because the original movies, while directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, always had this kind of weird Tim Burton vibe to them. In fact, to many people out there, Barry Sonnenfeld is kind of like Tim Burton light. If you think about it, if you've ever seen the show Pushing Daisies on ABC, that show felt very Tim Burton-esque. That was Barry Sonnenfeld. In fact, the 3 seasons of Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events that came out on Netflix a couple of years ago were very, very Tim Burton inspired. And that was all directed, not all, but mostly directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, especially executive produced by him. So when you think about it, when you really think about it, Barry Sonnenfeld has done more to kind of keep Tim Burton's late 80s, early 90s goth roots alive than Tim freaking Burton. And now they got Tim Burton to come back and direct the first 4 episodes of this 8-episode season. And he was good. He was good. It was good to see Tim Burton come back, but he also played it a little bit on the safe side. The show was conventional. It fell into the tropes of most of these kind of young adult type shows, right? Kind of the CW Riverdale-esque type thing, melodrama, love triangles, things like that. But I'll tell you what sells it. What sells it is the characterizations, not only of Wednesday and Thing and every one of the Addams Family, obviously played by, Luis Guzmán as Gomez. And I forget her name right now as Morticia. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm blanking on her name, but I am. It will come to me as we go on. But, but not only that, but you had like Gwendoline Christie as a principal, Christina Ricci, a couple other characters or actors whose names I don't know right now, but they did a good job filling out the rest of the outcasts and filling out the rest of the normies in the city. It had a really interesting backstory with the Pilgrims and how like the Puritanism or the Puritanicalism that came from the Quakers and how they were, and then how they shunned everyone who was different, and like witch trials and things like that. It was really interesting. It was a really interesting show. I thought the lore and the world expanding the way that they did was actually really fascinating to watch over the course of the 8 episodes. So I think the show started to really fail as Wednesday was trying to uncover whoever this killer was, whoever this monster was. The show fell into conventions, especially in episodes 5 and 6, which were not directed by Tim Burton. But the last 2 episodes are directed by James Marshall, and I thought he did a better job trying to wrap up the series. But there were a couple things that happened in the show where I felt like, okay, they're just kind of like moving the plot along. And they have to do it when it comes to a show like that. Like, they absolutely have to do it when it comes to television. When you're doing any kind of show, like, you have to find a way to get from point A to point B, even if it's not the most logical, or it kind of comes across a little bit as Deus Ex Machina, or just, things along those lines. I don't want to call Wednesday a Mary Sue character, because she does lose relatively frequently, but her overconfidence can put her into that category. But what I love about it, the way Jenna Ortega played the role, was that overconfidence was definitely seen as a strength, and then also a weakness at times, because of how she was so cocksure and headstrong that she ended up just getting herself in over her head quite often. And, but just circumstances kind of seem to kind of go her way a little bit, sometimes a little bit too much. Like there's a bit with like the Thing and what he can get away with. And at one point he's literally crawling through a train station in broad daylight. No one notices that he's there. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the fact that you have the normies in the town are fully aware of what is at Nevermore Academy, the outcasts being vampires, werewolves, shapeshifters, sirens, Medusa-like characters, Gorgons, I think is what they're called. Like, there's a lot of that going on there. They all know about that, and they seem to be totally okay with that, on kind of like a distance sort of situation. But it's one of those scenarios where it's like Thing is crawling through and no one notices. And I'm just like, okay, like there's times where the suspension of disbelief has to happen. And I know it's odd to say when I'm talking about a show like this, because like the suspension of disbelief on whatever, it's a show. But I'll tell you this, it's binge worthy. It's fun. It's got some good snappy dialogue. It's got a lot of quips. It's got a lot of little funny moments. It's got a lot of good characterizations. It's got characters that I liked, characters that I genuinely cared for. I saw the twists coming about a mile away just from the convention of having watched a lot of movies and televisions over my 40-year lifespan, but also just understanding how, I don't want to say like network or cable television kind of formulates itself, but you can always see like, oh, you think it's this, but it's really this, but is it really this? It could be this, but that, like the misdirects happen all the time. On that front, it felt relatively conventional, but at the same time, I had a lot of fun watching it. In fact, my girlfriend already wants to go back and rewatch the season. And we don't do that. We rarely ever do that. So we definitely had a lot of fun watching this. I look forward to more. Hopefully we're going to get a season 2. And they said that if we do get a season 2, we will get a lot more of Gomez and Morticia and the family. And I do want to see more with the dynamic between Pugsley and Wednesday, because I felt that, like, I like the kid who played Pugsley, but I felt like the kid Eugene in the show kind of like took Pugsley's place to an extent, but it makes a lot of sense. And again, there's at the very end of the show, they leave a couple things hanging, a couple threads hanging, but like Wednesday monologues about that. And you're just like, okay, like they are fully aware of what they're doing. The show knows what it is. It knows what it wants to be. And I'm here for it. And I can't wait to see more. I'm really hopeful we get another season out of this. If you saw it, what do you think of the show? What's your ups? What's your downs? Let me know. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day and peace out.